Hello and welcome to Sunrise Cardcast, your one-stop podcast shop for all things hockey cards. My name is Eric Andrews, also known in the hobby as Hammerhawks, and I'm joined by my co-host and fellow hobbyist Aaron Goldstein, better known throughout the hobby as Crease Collector. Well, another year has come and gone, so we are at yet another year in review episode, and this time obviously taking a look back at 2023. And as is kind of customary for these episodes, we typically like looking back at 2023 with our hobby goals and some of our best pickups before kind of flipping the calendar over to the coming year and making some goals for the year and things like that. So, start out the 2023 year in review episode. We'll go over our hobby goals that we set at this time last year and kind of review how we did with those. So, Aaron, I will allow you to start off first with your 2023 hobby goals.
Oh, absolutely. So reviewing our goals from this past year, my first one was reach 750 Enroth cards in the collection. And unfortunately, I fell a little bit short. I think as of this recording, currently standing at 739. So, I mean, pretty good, but
You're
not quite
close.
where I wanted to be exactly. I'm close. So in 2024, I'm sure I'm sure I'll get there. But yeah, that was one I had to put down as a fail. The next one, I mean, it's a fail also, but I kind of don't consider it a fail. The second goal I had was to finish the 300 Win Club set. I failed, but I did acquire the Kiprusoff card. So, I mean, that one is just, it's from the original 12-13 set and just pretty rare as far as the odds go. And so I was just really glad to pick that one up, but still missing the Belfour. So I'll definitely be looking for that one soon. And then the next goal I had was find a vintage goalie card. Didn't really add another one this year. I still want to, but we'll see what happens in 2024. I did manage to add some vintage memorabilia of some goalies. So I guess maybe sort of again, like the above, failed, but still did okay when considering everything. And my last goal was have fun. And, I put it in there every year, but it's so true. You got to have fun. And I definitely did have a lot of fun this year. I didn't really know what would happen as far as the collection and stuff like that, but picked up a lot more cards than I thought I would, as you guys are going to see. And yeah, hoping the same for 2024.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, obviously, having fun is a very, very important part of all this. So glad that that was a success. And yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, obviously, like as you wrote the goals, maybe they were a fail on paper, but you still made progress toward each of those in one way or another. So that's definitely good. For me, I only had two goals for this year, and I actually failed both of them. So there's that. I guess we didn't have a very successful year as far as our goals go, but my first one being finishing one notable 2003-04 set for my 03-04 Master Collection project. And yeah, as I said, I did not accomplish that. The closest that I am right now to having one finished, as far as a notable set, I mean, there are sets like Parkhurst Original Six Chicago, which is just base cards. So obviously, like I have that and stuff like that. But for notable sets, the closest that I am right now is with 03-04 Premier Collection. I am just three cards away on that, all of those being some of the RPAs. And I've just been really picky on picking up really nice patches for that set. So missed out on a couple of ones that I needed, unfortunately, just didn't see the auctions and missed out on them, but certainly hopeful that I'll get around to doing that. And then the other goal was getting my office set up. And even though it is not fully set up, I did make a lot of progress with just getting more organized and getting things cleaned up a bit. So even though it is not fully done, I did fail the goal, but still made a lot of progress in that regard. So I would say, kind of like you, Aaron, like definitely somewhat happy with the progress there, but still something to be working toward. So yeah, that's looking back at our 2023 hobby goals. And then, of course, probably the most fun part of this episode every year is taking a look at our top pickups from the year. And typically we do a top 10. Sometimes that kind of gets a little murky when it comes to, years past, there's been categories and stuff like that. So we tried to be pretty good about it this year. We do have an honorable mention category at the start just to do a little bit of a shout out to some things that didn't quite make the cut. And then we'll jump into our top 10. So, Aaron, do you want to start off with your 2023 honorable mention?
I do. So these ones, for those who listen to the pod, every time we put out an episode, these ones won't be too foreign for you guys, as I just sort of mentioned them. not too long ago. So my honorable mentions are the Ed Balfour Ultimate Patch out of 35 that I picked up recently at the Expo. Just a really nice set from 0405 and one of the first mega patch, I guess, sets in hockey. And found that at the Expo and and really just wanted that for a long time in my collection and managed to make that happen. And the next one being a card that I talked recently about is the Johnny Bower 0809 Upper Deck Legends Masterpiece Brushstrokes Blue Auto at 25. It's really hard to say, and it's a card that is pretty rare, and I got it for a pretty good price. And yeah, two Leaf cards for my collection, and pretty happy about them both. So those are my honorable mentions.
Very cool. Yeah, both of those are really nice cards, and yeah, definitely deserving of some attention, even if they didn't quite crack the top 10. For my honorable mention, I have four, one of which being a card that is no longer in my collection. So that's kind of why I'm allowing myself to include it, just because it's a phenomenal card. So it definitely deserves a little bit of a shout out. That being the Tommy Salo Jumbo Memorabilia from In the Crease that I pulled at the very beginning of the year. Obviously, just an incredible patch on this card. And yeah, like I said, even though it's long gone at this point, it is an awesome card and definitely deserving of a little bit of love there. And my second honorable mention, this one is something that I never really had an intention of adding to my collection, but then when I saw it, I think I actually acquired it at the very end of 2022, but it didn't arrive until 2023. So it does fall into the 2023 category, that being a sealed box of 2003-04 Upper Deck Classic Portraits. And that was the first product that I ever opened. So obviously that was really cool to be able to add one of those boxes to my collection. I don't know if I'll ever open it or not. I don't really have any plans necessarily to do that, but yeah, just a really cool thing to kind of bring back that nostalgia and say, hey, this is the first thing I ever opened, and obviously I have very fond memories of that product and completed that whole set with all the short prints and everything. So that was really cool. And yeah, just being able to add that box to my collection is pretty cool. And then what I would say is the most notable addition that I made for my 0304 project was the Patrice Bergeron rookie card from Pacific Luxury Suite. Obviously, as you guys see, if you're watching on YouTube, has a really nice two-color jersey piece on there, which is great. Yeah, so I figured probably the best 0304 card that I added this year, so that was worthy of a little bit of attention there. And then the final honorable mention that I have, this one is kind of a pretty unique piece, honestly, just because it's not something that you see every day, but given the significance of it, I just think it's really, really cool. That being my ticket from the 2023 NHL entry draft in Nashville. Obviously, Connor Bedard was the first overall pick for the Blackhawks, and I was there. I made a point to get a physical ticket for the event. The default was just having a ticket on your phone, but Ticketmaster allows you to have a physical ticket if you want. So I definitely made sure to do that so that I could have kind of a nice little piece there for my collection. And what's really cool too is that since I was the one that bought the ticket from Ticketmaster, my name is on the ticket. So just kind of a cool little personalization element there. And yeah, obviously just a really cool and unique type of piece that nowadays you don't really see too many physical ticket stubs anymore. So yeah, definitely something I'm really, really glad to have in my collection. So that'll do it for my honorable mention section. So getting into the official top 10 countdown, Aaron, start us off with your number 10.
All right, here we go. So I wish I could say, we'd start out the top 10 like, with a bang or something really dramatic or fun. But because you have me starting off the top 10, I'm going to probably deflate the balloon a little bit for those listening. Maybe I won't, but, maybe I will. I don't know. We'll see. So starting things off, my top 10 is the 0809 Upper Deck the Cup printing plate, one of Mike Mole. So, so not really, earth-shattering as far as, a top 10, but for me, it was a big pickup and one that I just, I've been really looking for a long, long time. And Yeah, for me it works. And for those who don't know, this is over 10 years ago now. Mike was my goalie coach back in 2010. And I found out he had some cards and he told me the whole story behind, him getting called up to the Islanders and spending a couple games with them. And I just thought it was really cool. And so I decided, yeah, the card collector in me was like, let's pick up some cards. And so it's a small little collection I've had for quite a few years now. And anytime you can add a new addition to this collection is great. Things like this don't come up often, and so I was able to grab it. It's from the Upper Deck MVP set. So yeah, really cool. I really enjoyed that rookie card. So that for me is the 10th card in my top 10.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean it's really cool because it's a card that a lot of people would not even bat an eye at. There most people would probably say, "Who is Mike Mole and why do you care about this guy?"
Exactly.
So, but obviously to you, there's so much significance in that. And I'm glad that you said it, adding stuff to a collection like that all these years later just doesn't happen every day, let alone, a one of one. So, yeah, the fact that you were able to find that and add that to your collection this year is awesome and so cool to see a collection like that still being added to 14 years later.
Exactly. It's just something that, you don't really see being listed. People with those cards don't really list them all that often. And so when you get a chance to add a one of one like that, you take it, because you never know when you're going to see another one. So yeah, it was just a really good timing. And, I didn't think I would add anything to that collection this year, but that's the fun thing about the hobby. You never know, it's coming around the corner.
Very true. And that's kind of a nice little segue into my number 10. Definitely not something that I would go out of my way to just pick up and, seek it out. But when I saw it and saw that it was available, I just said, that's a really, really cool card. So why not? So quick shout out right up front to our good buddy Kurt Johnson. This was his card previously, that being from President's Choice Solid Gold from the Triple Memo set, a triple emblem patch numbered out of 2 of Gordie Howe. And obviously just a really clean and sharp looking design. And obviously Solid Gold was a really nice set. And yeah, I mean, how can you go wrong with a memorabilia card of Gordie Howe, let alone when it kind of highlights the trajectory of his career and having pieces of that on a card. Pretty cool. So yeah,
Great pieces at that. Like, look at those patches.
yeah, all 3 being
Each one of
emblem
them is great.
pieces, which I did not know at first. When I first saw the card, I thought that the Whalers and Arrows pieces were actually just number patches because they kind of just look like number patches. Obviously, the Wings one is more apparent that it's an emblem piece, but on the back of the card, it actually does clearly state that all 3 of those are emblem pieces. So yeah, definitely makes it even cooler, in my opinion, to know that all of those are from the logo on the jersey, and yeah, just kind of taking you through Gordie Howe's career on a card is really really cool. So yeah, even though that's maybe not something I would typically go out of my way to pick up, definitely something that I was really happy to add to my collection. And again, big shout out Kurt for being willing to work with me on that.
Awesome. So I'm just going to move on to my number 9. So maybe this gets a little bit interesting for those listening. So number 9, it's actually going to be, I'm going to try not to do this too much, but it's actually, a trio of pickups from '09, 10, OPG Premier. These are actually artist proof cards. And so, for those wondering what these things actually are, artist proof cards are cards that usually they'll print, a few extra sheets of the set to sort of kind of see where things are kind of layered. Is the foil, sticking in the right spots? Does the art or the effects on the card sort of look like we want them to look, or any sort of, changes that we want to make before, we cut these and assemble these or put memorabilia inside. And so that's sort of the final kind of proofing that they'll make. So they'll make a couple sets of these, and usually they'll be, discarded afterwards. Although for many years, the artist proof sets in the cup have been, sold as redemptions, or not sold, but packed out as redemption cards, and you can sort of redeem them later if you were lucky enough to pull one But for OPG Premier, I'm not exactly sure how these kind of got loose. But yeah, I picked up three of them for the collection for the Enroth PC, and yeah, could not have been happier with this. I remember seeing the Surface, over 10 years ago. I didn't really think much of them at the time. I didn't really have, you know, too much money to kind of spend on, a couple bucks plus shipping on each of them. It just wasn't something, I had any interest in either. But once they were kind of off the market, I didn't expect to see them again. But luckily, three of them popped up at the same time this year, and I was able to grab them. And really happy that I did because all these years later, that's cards like that I really, really enjoy. Especially for a collection where you want to kind of have everything. I mean, you're never really gonna, but you know, adding a different layer to the collection, with artist proofs and trying to get some of those is really cool. So glad I can do that, in kind of one swoop here for the collection. So that was a really cool moment for the collection this past year, and I'm really glad I can add these.
Yeah, really cool because again, kind of like number 10, but again here, it's just something unique that you don't see every day. So, and I feel like a lot of people kind of like when they think of your collecting style, especially with your Enroth collection at this point, it's, what new, unique, different things is he going to find? And these very much fit the bill. So, yeah, definitely really, really cool and glad that you're able to track those down all these years later. Again, like we just said about number 10, but same thing here. Yeah, and definitely cool that they have kind of that intriguing backstory that we still don't really know, all of the details about how these got out. So yeah, definitely really cool there. From my number 9, card that you guys saw recently. It is again from a President's Choice product, this time from In the Crease, like we mentioned earlier in my honorable mention. And again, from the Jumbo Memorabilia set, this time of Aaron Dell. And obviously, just, the patch on this thing speaks for itself. Don't really need to say a lot about it, other than it's one of those cards that when you see it, you just can't say anything other than wow. Like that is really, really cool. Obviously, not the biggest name, not a team that I root for or anything, but again, you see it and you just say, wow, that's really, really cool, and the price was right, so I happily picked it up for my collection. And yeah, definitely enjoy having a patch like that. It's just incredible, really.
I mean, I know he's not the biggest name, but I mean, I love his name personally. Aaron Dell can't get any more, cooler than that. And that patch is awesome. Probably the best Sharks patch I've seen. I mean, I don't know if there probably is, but some of those, full kind of shark patches out there. But if there is, there's not many. And so it kind of like there was tons of amazing patches in that product, and just to snag one of them like that is just awesome. So kudos to you for picking that up because, yeah, it's definitely one of a kind. All right, moving on to my number 8. So we have here from 22-23 President's Choice In the Crease as well. We have a stick rack card for the Buffalo Sabres. And so this sweet quad card here has Craig Anderson, Jonas Enroth, obviously, Dominic Hasek, and Ryan Miller. The card is out of 3, so pretty rare. I remember once the product dropped and we got the checklist. Just this card was definitely high on my list, just because a good couple names on this card. I really enjoyed the design as well, and yeah, some sweet stick cards are always fun to see. And yeah, I haven't seen another one since. A collector from HI kind of reached out to me after his break, and asked if I'd be interested, and of course I said yes. And yeah, it's just a really cool card there. I'm kind of interested to see in the future, kind of what quad cards will be coming out, hopefully with Enroth and all the different combos that could be, done. But yeah, this is one for sure that had to be added when I saw it released. So really cool, and yeah, just a really solid card. And I'm kind of surprised, considering the popularity of the product, how I just haven't seen another one since. So just a really cool card overall, and glad I grabbed it when I did.
Yeah, no doubt. And I feel like you had a lot of success with the Enroth cards from that product early on. Like I feel like you were able to find and track down almost all of them like very quickly, which is really impressive. But this was kind of the one that was like the holdout, so to speak. And I know it
It
took you a
was.
little while to find it. So the fact that you were able to track one down finally was obviously great. Yeah, cool that he's kind of featured on there, alongside those three. And yeah, obviously great that you were able to finally track down a copy of that. For my number eight, I am switching over to a card that I actually pulled myself, which typically doesn't happen very often for these countdowns, since I typically don't pull too many big cards. It happens sometimes, but yeah, typically it's stuff that I acquire after the fact. But this time, for my 22-23 Leaf in the Game used case, my big hit of the case was from the back-to-back autograph set, and that being Mario Lemieux and Jaromir Jagr. And hearing about that set and seeing the checklist ahead of time, obviously that's the one that you really wanted to get. So the fact that I was fortunate enough to pull one was obviously extremely exciting. And it's a very nice looking card. And, obviously two legends of the game, and they're both right there on that card. So yeah, definitely a very exciting memory of this year was being able to pull a card like that out of my case break of in the game used.
What a sweet card. Like look at that thing. It looks awesome. Out of four copies, like just amazing. Like you did pretty well with the back-to-back cards, and just that obviously being one that stole the show for sure. Just really awesome. Yeah, I can't get better than those two legends. Just amazing. And great design from Leap this year. I think they really stepped up their game. Like I don't really think I saw like a bad card. I mean, those who are going to hate on their stuff, I mean, they're going to call out probably almost every set. But I mean, for me, when looking at it, that card specifically, but just across all their offerings, I mean, they did a really good job here, from a design perspective, and yeah, across all their products, I think they did a really good job. But this year especially, I think this product was really well done. So kudos to you on that. Just an awesome card. So like I still remember like watching that break and just being like, man, that's just what a pull. Just super well done. All right, so with my number seven, I'm going to again combine a couple cards here. So this being from 0910 Upper Deck of the Cup, and we have three new additions, for the printing plate collection for the Enroth PC here. So just didn't think this was going to happen at all. I think my last plate that I added was like good couple of years ago. And so to add three, in 1 year is just amazing. So I added a printing plate from OPG Premier, Collector's Choice, and Artifacts. I think the Artifacts one's my favorite, just, by the way the card looks and stuff like that. But yeah, just to add three rookie year plates to the collection was just awesome, especially this far along in the collection. There's actually another Enroth collector out there who focused really hard on his rookie year. And so that collector has 21 plates as well. And so I think I'm at like 23 or something now. So between us, we have over 40 plates, and Upper Deck created 60 of them. So like, as you can see, there just is not there's not a lot to go around. And so to find three plates out there is just pretty difficult, all these years later. And to track them all down in the same year is just awesome. So yeah, just another sort of combined thing here, but combined category, but still just awesome all around, and really glad to pick these three up. So I mean, they're just printing plates, so if you've seen one, you've seen them all. But just as far as the timing of these things go, it was a really cool thing.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, again, it goes back to some of those earlier thoughts that we had about like the mole printing plate and the Enroth proofs and stuff. But, I think if someone told you entering 2023 that you would add one Enroth rookie printing plate to your collection this
I'd
year,
be
you'd be
so happy. Oh yeah,
pretty
one
happy.
is great. Yeah, totally. But to pick up three is just next level. And they were three from three different people actually, like three different sources. So which makes it even better. So yeah, just really surprising.
Yeah, definitely. So really cool that you could add those, of course. And again, it's so cool that all these years later, these cards, in one way or another will show up and they find their way home, after all these years. So another great example of that here. For my number seven, I'm going to go right back to the in the crease well, so to speak. We've prominently featured that product so far, and I don't think we're done yet, but For my number seven, I have a pair of George Vezina cards that I got from the product. The first one being the Pioneers Quad with Frank Brimsick, George Hainsworth, Harry Lumley, and Vezina, of course, that I was lucky enough to pull myself in one of the boxes that I opened in the first episode of this year. So obviously that was very, very exciting. That was the first Vezina memorabilia card that I have pulled not from the Vezina collection, which, I mean, obviously, when you open that stuff, you're obviously getting Vezina memorabilia cards. So, but from a quote unquote normal product, this was the first and only time that I've pulled Vezina. So that was obviously a big thrill for me. And then the other one being an international influence memorabilia card of Grant Fuhr, Marc-Andre Fleury, Cam Ward, and of course, Vezina. And when I saw the checklist, obviously that's one that I wanted since Fleury is on the card as well. They do not have many cards where they are both featured on the card. So yeah, obviously being able to track down a copy of that card was something I was hoping to do. And of course, as you see, I was able to do just that and got a very, very good deal on it to boot. So that was obviously a really nice little bonus there as well.
That's awesome. I mean, two great quads. I mean, I still remember when you pulled that Pioneers quad. I mean, just an awesome card. I really like that design. All the legendary goalies there are just so cool. The kind of the net in the background, just really, really cool. And obviously Vesna there, and for you to pull another Vesna, just amazing. So yeah, just huge pickup there. And the other Canada quad there at the bottom, also with Vesna, is awesome. So yeah, just amazing. And to get them all in one year too, like amazing. So far your top 10's been good. Like I know you said going in, like we'll see about my top 10, but so far it's been awesome. So moving on to my number six. This one we're kind of going across the pond on this one. This one being from 21-22 Serio KHL Platinum series. It's the jersey logo patch out of 24 of Jonas Enroth playing for Dynamo Minsk. So it's a 2021 or it's a 21-22 card, but these actually got really seriously delayed just because of the pandemic. And so they weren't actually released until 2023. So people had to wait kind of a while. But yeah, these patch cards are awesome. Ever since he made his way to the KHL a few years back, I kind of knew that Surreal has done these sets in the past with, at some point or another. So I was kind of waiting, like I knew it might have taken a couple years, but I kind of knew that one day they would have sort of a mega patch style set, with one of his jerseys. And so, they finally created one and I was able to snag one. So this one is actually from an outdoor game, which he's pictured in on the side here. So it's kind of cool to actually have, a memorabilia piece from an outdoor game and also him being pictured on the same card. So really, really cool. And like I said, all the patches here are from the logo piece here. So really, really something cool. So yeah, these patches are out of 24. And for those who don't know about Surreal, they manufacture a lot of the KHL cards. They are based in Latvia. And I found this one from the Czech Republic, actually. They had a case break and they were offering up some singles that they had found in their packs online. And I managed to pick this one up for not a bad price either. So pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool for sure. And I think the thing that really stands out to me, and I know you mentioned it, but obviously, yeah, it's an outdoor game. That's super, super cool. But the fact that he's pictured on the card from that game wearing that jersey, it's almost like you can, well, not even almost, you can just straight up photo match that patch to the photo on the card, which
Oh,
is
you
just
can. You could
super
see it
cool.
on the card too. You can see where the actual jersey piece is, which is really cool. So.
Yeah, so that just kind of takes it to the next level. Obviously, any jumbo patch card like that is really cool to start with, but the fact that it was an outdoor game and he's pictured in that jersey on the card and you can clearly see that patch in the photo is just so, so cool. And yeah, obviously KHL cards aren't something that a lot of us over here in North America see every day. So seeing a cool card from overseas is always a treat. And yeah, the fact you're able to add that to your collection this year is really, really cool. For my number six, these are I'm again going to have a little bit of a category here just because it's the same type of card, even though they're different players, but it's a pair of black auto one of ones from the Cup. The first one being of Jacob Slavin and the other being of Seth Jones. And you guys did just hear about the Seth Jones card recently, a couple episodes ago, but the Jacob Slavin one I got from Matt Chang earlier this year. He was kind enough to set that one aside for me after picking it up. And then the Jones, like I said, you guys just heard about. But yeah, I mean, Cup Black autos are obviously very desirable and really cool cards. And yeah, the fact that I was able to pick up a Slavin for the PC obviously was huge. And then, like I said a couple episodes ago, the Jones is just a really nice card of him. And, he's obviously going to be with the Hawks for a while here. So when I saw it, figured, hey, he's going to be a big part of this team for a while. So, if I can pull it off, great. And yeah, just really cool cards to have.
I mean, I love Cut Black autographs. I mean, it's really, really cool. Always enjoyed them. And so these ones are two really nice looking cards. I love the design on both. Yeah, it's awesome. The fact that you got one for your Slavin collection is really, really cool. Obviously, he's your dude. And it's always really nice when something like that falls into place. And of course, the newly picked up Seth Jones card is really nice. I really like the design of those cards as well from that year, and just awesome. It's kind of like I remember that, like there was quite a lot of people collecting his cards back then. He was quite popular back when he was first kind of coming out. And yeah, so I was surprised that a card like that would surface all these years later. But yeah, I mean, hey, one person's loss is another person's gain. So glad you were able to pick that one up. And we've already talked about it, how you're going to keep it within the slab. I mean, you might as well, for protection. But yeah, two really cool cards. And yeah, I mean, if you're ever going to combine some cards in the top 10, I mean, the Cup Black cards are kind of the way to go. So really nice. All right, moving along, the train just keeps on moving. My number five here is, I guess I would consider it, a white whale. This one was a card that was a long time coming. This one as well, kind of the theme is from 2009-10 the Cup. This is from the quad patches set out of five. Features Gustafson, Niemi, Enroth, and Devin Dubnyk, numbered 1 of 5. So this card has been kind of on my want list for a while. It's the last non-1 of 1 memorabilia card I needed. So, crossed off the list in a big way when this one finally came in. I believe two of these were in a Gustafson collection. One is in Finland in a Niemi collection. One is in a Dubnyk collection. And then this other one was in a Blackhawks collector's collection. So finally managed after a couple years of convincing to kind of, he agreed to let this one go, and finally one now resides in my collection. So didn't think I was ever gonna, find one, as they were all kind of spoken for. But after all these years, it finally happened. And yeah, pretty big card for the collection. I mean, just for the, significance sake, it should probably be, lower on the list, but card out of 5 at number 5 kind of felt right for me. So yeah, big card for me, and all goalies can't complain.
Yeah, definitely a really nice card in its own right. Obviously, kind of a cool like sign of the times almost, because those four guys were like the goalie prospects
Oh yeah.
of that year. So to have them all on that card is really cool. But yeah, I mean, the significance of it being the last non-1 of 1 memorabilia card you needed from his rookie year, and combine that with the fact that you very reasonably felt that you might never get one, and the fact that you now have one is just so cool. So yeah, definitely a really really great addition for your collection for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, it's one that we often say, like I've said this a lot, where, when it comes to cards out of 5 or out of 3, where it's like, well, this might be the only one you ever see, when we, it could happen. It could be the only one you ever see, but often, the reason we say that is because, it could be picked up by other people. Could be, it might, you never know. But in this case, I remember trying to chase this card for many years and actually seeing it go, or seeing it already in collections, and you can sort of check them off, being like, well, this one's not available. I see it in this person's collection. I saw another copy, but it's in this, and sort of track where all these cards are going. And all five of them were spoken for. And so that, the wondering's over. You know where they are. It's just they're not with you, and that's fine. But having it finally end up in your collection after all these years is kind of cool.
Yeah, no doubt. Absolutely. For my number five, you guys have obviously seen and heard about these, but it's two cards, but I really consider them just one because it's, as you guys have seen, a matching pair of cards. So they do go together quite nicely. Those being from Leaf Art of Hockey Museum of Materials of Alexander Ovechkin. And if you guys are watching on YouTube or if you've seen the cards before, obviously you know, but the matching left and right halves of a McGray Group game worn jersey tag. So yeah, like I've said previously, I got the right half at the National, and then shortly after was able to find and acquire the left half. And yeah, I mean, just a really cool thing that, if you told me at the beginning of the year that I would have these cards, I would probably just say like, well, why? But it kind of just ended up happening. And yeah, obviously just really, really, really cool cards in their own right. Just having one would be really cool, but being able to have them both and piece those together is a very, very cool, unique piece for my collection. And obviously for it to be of Alexander Ovechkin, it's obviously even better. So kind of something a little bit different, for my collection. But yeah, just cards that, especially when you see them together, they just really speak for themselves.
They definitely do. It's like finding, the other side of like a long lost, piece of art or something. Just really, really cool. Again, kind of definitely brings the two together as kind of like one card. So that's really cool. I kind of wish they put both these tag versions under the same sort of parallel. The
Yeah.
first one is, 2 of 3, which is fine. And then you have the other version here, the red out of 5, which is kind of weird. So it's like, it should have been like a 2 of 3, and then maybe this be a 3 of 3 or something like that. But yeah, either way, you found them both, which is great. But just yeah, I guess the foiling on that one, or how they decided to split up this memorabilia, a little bit of an interesting choice there. But either way, really cool. So that's awesome. Yeah, it's kind of interesting that like why would you pick up an Ovechkin card? But seeing this photo right here of them together is like, well, that makes sense. So pretty awesome. Not every day that a collector could do that. So just amazing.
Yeah, it was definitely the 5 out of 5, the right half was definitely just one of those show pickups. I saw it at the National and was just like, that's a really cool card. I'm just gonna grab it. And yeah, definitely glad that I did. And yeah, I definitely agree with you. It would be nice if they were from the same parallel. Ideally, if it was from a numbered out of two parallel, because then it would just make perfect sense.
That'd be
But
cool.
yeah, within the print run, within each parallel, and even just throughout the cards in general, there are pieces from a jersey, of course, and then there are also skate pieces. So even within the same parallels, some of the copies are a jersey and some are a skate. So kind of interesting how they did that. But yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from and definitely agree. But fortunately, the bigger thing is just being able to straight up see the match and all of that is really cool.
Definitely. Moving on to my number 4 pick, and we're getting down to it, people. This one is from, they recently released their new stick handle series in the summer. So this is from the 2023 version from President's Choice. And it's another stick handle of Jonas Enroth. This is, I believe, my second or third from his, his online store there. So got to give it to Dr. Price on this one for another really cool addition to the collection. Just really enjoy these cards, and I don't think I'll ever get tired of them. I mean, they're just too cool. So really nice shaft with the stick there with the stamped instead of the what's it called? I guess like the name bar where you get it custom made. This one is the stamped version. So that's kind of cool instead of it already being kind of on the stick there. So really cool stick handle. I really love the design. I'm sure Eric does too. Maybe we'll find out why in a little while, but yeah, just awesome.
Yeah, you can never go wrong with the stick handles. Even though it's not your first, every single time you get one, it's equally as cool. So, and like you said, it's also cool seeing kind of the uniqueness from stick handle to stick handle. Even just within the same player. Enroth one might be kind of the factory painted on there, whereas this one is a stamp. So, kind of just cool, even just seeing the variants. Inevitably from different points of his career, whatever it might be. But yeah, you can certainly never go wrong with a good stick handle card. And that is an extremely nice segue into my number four, because my number four is a stick handle 1/1 from In the Crease of Andrei Vasilevsky. And this is another card that I pulled out of my In the Crease break at the beginning of the year. And this was the last card that I pulled of the whole break. So it was just a very fun and exciting way to end that break, and had already done extremely well in those boxes. You guys already saw the Sallow, you saw the Pioneers Quad with Vesna. So I was figuring that the third box wasn't going to have anything overly notable. And, kind of flipping through the cards, and then this is the last card, bam. Well, best card of all of them. So yeah, just a really, really cool card. This is one of those, how we were just talking about how it was put on right from the factory, kind of just cool even between these two cards to see the difference there. And but yeah, I mean, obviously Andrei Vasilevsky is a phenomenal goalie, and you could argue the best of this generation. So the fact that I was able to pull a card like that was really, really, really cool, and definitely a card that I have very much enjoyed having in my collection.
I mean, that break that we did, for those who don't remember, go give that episode a listen. We'll have to find it for you if you don't know the number. But yeah, really, really cool. I mean, that break overall that you did was loaded. It was beyond loaded. It was probably the best In the Crease break I've ever seen, and I watched a lot of that product. So this was one of them, and to end off with this is saying something. For this sort of be for this kind of a card to be kind of like an afterthought, really, of just, oh yeah, that was pulled at the end, is really saying something about that whole break. So this card's amazing, but I think the whole break is just amazing also. So, I definitely want to give a shout out to that episode,
72,
and
by the way.
episode 72. So if you guys want to, relive this card and many, many more, be sure to check that out after this. But yeah, I mean, what more could you say about this card? Just awesome. I really like the design that they used. Very similar to the last one I just shared as well. And Vasilevsky, he's one of the best, of today's NHL. Just amazing. Just such a great athlete. It's so fun to watch him just play, and I'm so glad he's back from injury and playing well. So yeah, amazing, amazing card.
And what was really cool too, if you look at the stick handle set, this was arguably the biggest name on that checklist. And obviously, the stick handle cards are one of the cards that you're chasing after. So I would say that honestly, this is one of the first times that I really pulled almost like a product hit type of card before. I guess in Vesna Collection, I pulled one of the loops, which, that's right up there as well. But yeah, I mean, when you go down the entire checklist of In the Crease, this is probably one of those cards that stands out to you as being one of the best in the product as a whole. So yeah, obviously being able to pull something like that, especially after the other cards that I pulled, was just awesome.
I also like the black version of the stick handles. There's been a couple of different variants, but this being all kind of blacked out and really, really cool. So that's another nice touch there with the black, you know, his name being in black there on the stick is really nice. So yeah, that's another nice touch there. So really nice. All right, from my number three, we're going back to President's Choice. Imagine that they've made quite a few appearances here in our top 10. Just really nice cards and really nice memorabilia pieces here. So for number three, also from In the Crease, is a jumbo memorabilia patch of Jonas Enroth. This 1/1 being probably the best LA Kings patch I've ever seen. Picked this up, probably one of my first pickups of the year, and just it's one of the best. That's why it's number three. I mean, look at that LA Kings patch, just amazing. Originally, I lost out on this card because it was honestly just way too expensive. And luckily, the person who bought the card was able to make a deal with me after the fact, so I could be at home where it belongs, I guess. So just really, just such a great card, and I'm glad it's in my collection because just amazing. It's so nice. I don't think I've seen a better LA Kings patch. So, and that's saying something. So just an amazing card.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's kind of cool too. We saw the premier type of Sharks patch earlier, and here we see the premier type of Kings patch here. So
In the
prominently,
same set.
yeah, same
That's
set,
how
same.
that's how good this product was.
Yeah, yeah, and I would say like these are definitely on the nicer end of the spectrum, but all of the cards in that jumbo memorabilia set were just spectacular. I mean, you saw the Sallow earlier. That's the kind of stuff that was in this product and in that set specifically. I mean, you had also like Reebok manufacturer tags and jersey tags, talking about the customization for the jerseys and stuff. I know you have cards like that in your collection as well. So yeah, just a remarkable set. And obviously that King's patch is certainly no different.
Exactly. Yeah, I like that you mentioned that. I also picked up one of the Reebok tags and the official jersey tags as well. Just amazing jumbo memorabilia cards, and there were just so many. I mean, the number depended on the goalie, but Enroth had six of them, so there was a lot of jumbo memorabilia cards to go around. I haven't seen them all yet, but maybe one day I will. But yeah, just an amazing assortment of cards in that product, and these definitely had to be highlighted.
No doubt, absolutely. So I think that will wrap up our highlighting of In the Crease. Obviously, it has been very prominently featured throughout this countdown for very good reason. So yeah, really just an awesome product. I know when we did the episode, we said it was the product of the season, and still to this day, I think that holds true. Just a remarkable product. The value was awesome. And obviously, the content within the product was spectacular. So, yeah, really cool to see a lot of those cards highlighted throughout this list. For my number three, again, a card that we've talked about a couple times on the show, but one that, definitely is a really special card to me. Something that, I didn't know if I would ever even see it and certainly never dreamed of owning it. And then things kind of just fell into place. And one thing led to another, and the card found its way into my collection. And definitely a card that I am very fortunate and humbled to own. That being from 21-22 Skybox Metal Universe, the gold precious metal gems, one of one of Marc-Andre Fleury. And yeah, I mean, kind of a card that just speaks for itself. Gold PMGs don't need a whole lot of explanation or rationale as to why they're significant, but to me, this is unquestionably one of Fleury's best Blackhawks cards out there. You could debate, that versus, shields and stuff like that. I mean, I think most people would say a shield is probably a better card. So he has a couple shields that were in Ultimate Collection, then he's got some in the Cup as well. But yeah, outside of those, I mean, I would put this right up there against pretty much anything else Blackhawks related that he has. So yeah, just the fact that I was able to add that card to my collection was awesome. And then, of course, if you guys are seeing the screen right now, or if you remember from earlier, or you've seen it on social media, whatever, I had the card graded with tag at the National, and that was just a really fun and cool experience. And getting the great imagery of it and having it protected, and then also having the incredibly thorough grading report on tag's website is just kind of, the next level for this card in my collection.
I mean, like, what else could you say? That's an awesome card. I mean, like I remember when you picked that up. I mean, like I was surprised, but I also wasn't surprised because I know you're a big Flurry and Blackhawks guy. So I wasn't surprised, but also I kind of was because obviously there's many awesome Flurry collectors out there. But I mean, I think we all would agree that Kendall is the guy. And so for him to not end up with this card is like, oh man, like who ended up with it? But then for you to come and just say, hey, look what I got. It's like, yeah, like that was also made for your collection as well. So, really cool, and especially with him being on the Blackhawks for a short period of time and did really well, I think. Like I was looking at his Blackhawks stats the other day and like considering the team they were, I mean, he did pretty well and finished with a pretty even record as well and not bad at all. So he played great with the Hawks. And yeah, that's one of his best cards. Like I haven't seen any of the ones that you mentioned. I'm sure they'll be great cards. But I mean, as far as at the time, when you picked this up, it was his best Blackhawks card, I would say anyway. And yeah, just really cool. Nice red jersey there. Just awesome. So yeah, that card looked awesome. I remember when you showed it off kind of in person a little bit, just really looked nice on camera too. But these scans here that you're showing now are awesome as well from Tag. So just amazing. Like as a Flurry guy, I'm kind of jealous. So it's just an awesome card. So yeah, huge congrats on that. It really is one of a kind. You know, the PMGs are great. The one of ones are just awesome.
Yeah, no doubt. And I really like the photo on it too, which is kind of interesting because I have been really picky when it comes to Flurry Blackhawks cards that I have collected, just because I actually am not a fan of the mask that he has on this card. It just felt like too generic and not like a stereotypical Flurry type of mask. Like it just didn't fit with him and, kind of his stereotypical designs and stuff. So yeah, I typically do not go after cards that he's wearing that mask in. But given the significance of the card itself, and I do like the photo and just kind of the pose, I think that's from one of the preseason media tours that the NHL does, a photo from that. So yeah, just kind of makes it like a cool, like epic looking type of card. So yeah, all those things combined into one just makes for a really, really special card for sure.
Yes, very nice indeed. I mean, how is that a number three? I mean, I guess we'll see, but I mean, for a lot of people, I think, it might even be a one on their list, but we'll see what happens. All right, we're getting down to it. So number two, originally I had this at number one, but I think for the podcast, you got to end off at number one with a card, right? Especially on a hockey card podcast. So I'll put this one at number two so I can finish off with a card at number one. I guess that sounds about right. So for number two, it's actually a game worn jersey. So instead of going small with a memorabilia piece, we're going large here. So for my number two, it is a 2013 IIHF World Championship game worn jersey, Jonas Enroth. And it's a nice Team Sweden away jersey. So you got that bright blue right up in your face. They actually recently just changed their jerseys. Instead of this kind of nice royal blue, they now have like a navy blue and the yellow. So I don't know why they would make that change, but they still have the yellow on the home jerseys, but again, they have the stripes in navy blue and the three crowns there in a navy blue. But anyway, Eric's just kind of shaking his head there, but but anyway, these ones are, I guess, the real, or I guess eventually they'll be the classic Team Sweden jerseys, I guess, in years to come. But yeah, really just great jerseys. He only wore this two times, once in the preliminary game, but once in a 3-0 shutout win, the semifinals against Team Finland. So I know how much that game meant to him and the country at that, because with their huge rivalry that they have, to face each other in the semis is fantastic. And for Team Sweden to come out at home in that huge game and advance to the finals the next day and eventually win, makes this jersey pretty cool. So yeah, I picked this up earlier this year from a private collector and could not be happier. It's now in a frame and it hangs in all its glory, I guess you could say. So just an amazing sweater, and so glad I can have it in my collection.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, just beautiful sweaters. And I am glad that you mentioned the switch to navy. I don't get that at all. That's a very bad decision, in my opinion.
I
But
actually saw on Instagram they posted a photo of their new jerseys. I guess they made it official, I guess at retail level, I guess, or I guess it was their first time wearing it, I guess, since they announced the change a little while ago. And a lot of the comments from Swedes were saying, like, why'd you change it? And stuff like that. I guess a couple of them are not too happy with the change, but we'll see. Maybe it'll grow on people, but who knows? But yeah, I kind of enjoy the other blue they used, but we'll see. Maybe they switch it back at some point, but it might take a couple years.
yeah, I would expect that some point down the road they'll come to their senses and switch back to the royal blue because it was just a perfect look. I mean, one of the best jerseys probably ever. It's just so clean, so simple, so beautiful. So, yeah, awesome that you now have that in your collection. Obviously, the significance of a jersey like that speaks for itself, but yeah, to pick up a piece like that is obviously very, very special for sure. So, big kudos to you for that. So, for my number two, this is a card that I was pretty much like one of the very top things on my want list. And if you told me coming into the year that I would get this card and cross it off the list, I would have just been over the moon. And yeah, so the fact that it became reality was obviously just a huge thrill for me. And yeah, definitely probably one of the better cards in my collection, honestly, just from the standpoint of the significance of what the card is. That being from President's Choice, the Vezina collection from the Historical Relics set, the Jumbo Pad card. And I've been chipping away at the Historical Relics set, and this was definitely one of the more desirable cards in that set for good reason. And yeah, obviously, as a result, people are not overly eager to let them out of their collection. So the fact that I was able to get this one off of a collector on Hobby Insider, shout out to Bure buyer Derek. Again, really, really appreciate that you were willing to let this go into my collection. And yeah, just a card that truly speaks for itself. You really don't need to say a whole lot about it. But given the significance of it, I knew it was going to be hard to track one down and add one to my collection. So the fact that I was able to do that this year was a huge thrill, and extremely, extremely humbled and grateful to have this card in my collection for sure.
That thing's awesome. Like, look at all the old puck marks on it, and the stitching there right through the middle of the card there. Just awesome. Design is amazing. Just really, really cool. Kind of Victorian in a way, and just amazing. Just such a cool piece of memorabilia there. I mean, I know you've shared a bunch of Vesna cards in the past, especially last year, but this one, I mean, just amazing. You've shared some in this very countdown, but this one definitely takes the cake for sure. Just amazing. Like, look at that thing. It's so sweet.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, there really isn't a whole lot more that needs to be said about it. But yeah,
No,
just
it's like you see the card and it's like, look, like just yeah, you just all right.
yeah, extremely, extremely grateful to have it. And, like I was saying, I honestly kind of just assumed that this was going to be number one for this year. When I made the deal for the card and got the card, it was like, okay, well, there's no question about what number one is for this year's countdown. The significance of the card just in its own right, but also, being a huge one to cross off the list for my set. I was just like, yep, like that's number one, like no doubt about it. So yeah, the fact that this somehow finds its way at number two is pretty special for sure.
Yeah, like how is this a number two? I guess we'll see. But I mean, in a lot of other people's countdowns, it's a number one for sure. But I mean, I guess we'll start wrapping it up with the number one pickups, I guess, this year. For me, I'll kind of piggyback off that. It's another Vesna card. Not as nice, but pretty nice, I would say. So this one is from 2022 President's Choice Solid Gold. It's from the trophy winner set, and it's Vesna. It's obviously a dual memorabilia card with Vesna and Marc-Andre Fleury. So really, really cool card. Picked this up earlier this year, and just a really cool card overall. Couldn't have done it without some awesome friends in the hobby, and yeah, it's one of my favorite cards in the goalie collection, in the vintage memorabilia collection, which I guess I've just started, and of course my Flurry collection. So just amazing, just awesome. Like, what more could you say about the card? The Flurry having a sweet Reebok stick piece there, and the Vesna having a really nice pad memorabilia piece there from sort of the inside of the pad where you would kind of put your leg. So just an awesome historical piece of memorabilia there, and really nice. And Eric, I believe you did have a hand in helping design these cards, with some input and things like that. So kudos to you a little bit too for helping sort of bring these cards to life. And yeah, just really something special for the collection. So that for me is my number one pickup this year. And yeah, couldn't be happier. I mean, look at that thing. So nice.
It sure is. That is an epic card for sure. Welcome to the club. I have one too, so now you've got one. That's awesome.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
Um,
that's right.
of course, I cannot take very much credit for that card. I appreciate the shout there, but yeah, was consulted by Dr. Price on whether or not in the background to have a photo of Vezina or the trophy. And myself and a few other collectors were very adamant about having Vezina actually pictured in the background instead of the trophy. So, as is pretty much always the case, Dr. Price is always willing to listen to the collectors and what they want. And obviously, this is no exception. And yeah, the cards look phenomenal. And yeah, obviously, a very special set, and the cards were executed really, really well. And lots of epic goalies in that checklist for sure. But what's cool about the Fleury in particular is that he was not featured in the Vezina collection since that came out before he won the Vezina trophy later that year. So, it's really cool in that sense that for most goalies, there are multiple cards like this. There's one from Solid Gold, there's one from the Vezina collection, and then going back to in the game days, I know there was a set in Superlative that was kind of like that as well, and some of the original BAP memorabilia cards way back in the day, and over the years and stuff. But if you want a Fleury Vezina Trophy winner card, that's it. There aren't any others. So at least from publicly released sets, I guess I did the made to order for the Vezina collection, but that's completely different. But yes, I mean, really, it is just if you wanted a Fleury Vezina Trophy winner card, this is your only option. So, obviously yourself being a big Fleury guy and obviously a big hockey historian yourself and everything too, really can't think of a better home for a card like that to be in. So the fact that it found its way to your collection is awesome, and definitely very, very fitting of that number one spot for sure. So big congrats on that.
Thank you.
So for my number one, this is exciting because Aaron does not know what this is. He has
I don't.
no idea. As is often the case with my big pickups, I don't let him in on the surprise
So
until
sad. I just want to know.
until we record about whatever it is. So this one being no different, largely because I did actually just add this to my collection earlier this month. There's a guy who is on Facebook that I have just stayed in touch with over the years. He kind of remembers what I collect, and he's always been really, really good about if he sees something, he'll message me and say, "Hey, just so you know, I saw this. I don't know if you need it, but just wanted to pass it along." So this was no different. And when he sent this to me, literally all he did was just messaged me the eBay link, and my jaw pretty much just hit the floor when I opened his message because it was just like, whoa, like there it is. Okay. So again, Aaron has no idea what this is. So I don't even know. It's really not even fair, I would say, to make you guess, but I want to at least hear if you have a guess for what this might be.
I can't. I can't. I want to, but I can't. I can't.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So this entire time, Aaron has been assuming that this is a card, and it's fitting in a way that you switched up your top two to have a card be number one
Oh, it's
instead of
not a card. Oh, get out of here. All right, all right, all right, all
yeah.
right.
So it is not a card to spoil the surprise a little
I
bit.
shouldn't have switched out my top one and two then. Okay.
It's all good. You have good rationale there for sure. But yeah, it is not a card. But yeah, this whole time you've been like, oh, like I can't think of what card it would be. Like, what card do you need that would be that big? Like, what card? And I'm just sitting there like, not a card, my man. Of course, I didn't tell you that, but yeah, so just kind of funny in that sense. And I'm sure that kind of threw you off a little bit as well, because that's just what you had in your mind, and understandably so. But yeah, without dragging this on too much, this is a piece that, even though it isn't nearly as valuable as the Vezina jumbo pad, just the significance of it for me and my collection really cannot be overstated. So with that, my number one pickup of 2023 is a game worn jersey of my buddy Derek Whitmore for the St. John's Ice Caps.
Oh, dang. Oh, that is a sweet sweater. I always like the ice cap sweaters. That's awesome. Plus, it reminds me of those nice ice caps from Tim Hortons. Us Canadians will know what I mean by that, but just that's awesome. What a great jersey. Wow. It's awesome.
So yeah, thanks first of all. The significance behind this is Derek only played 7 games for the Ice Caps. It was during the 2012-13 season, so obviously the lockout shortened season from the NHL standpoint. But he started the season with the Ice Caps, And a lot of you might know that the AHL has rules about how many players can be in your lineup that have played over a certain number of professional games. And the Ice Caps were kind of a veteran heavy roster that year. So he was unfortunately one of those guys that just didn't get into the lineup every night. So even though he was with the team, he only got into 7 games before ending up going over and playing in Germany for the rest of the season. I think he left in like December. So yeah, was only with the team for a couple months, only got into 7 games. I believe he only wore this Navy away jersey twice. And again, some of you who collect jerseys or are aware of how jerseys work, especially at the minor league level, understand that jerseys are very, very frequently recycled. Now, what that means, if you don't know, is a player changes teams and then another guy comes in that wears the same number. So then they just swap out the nameplate and give the jersey to that other player. And this was very much the case that season with the Ice Caps. As soon as Derek left, another player came in who wore number 21. And I can't even, I know his name, but it's really hard to pronounce. It's like Kale Mouriat or something, some French Canadian name. But this guy wore number 21 and joined the team pretty much as soon as Derek left. And so my assumption was always just that, well, if his jerseys became that guy's jerseys, they're as good as having pretty much never existed. And I never saw that guy's jerseys anywhere. So, like I said, I pretty much just assumed that these jerseys essentially did not exist anymore. In all my years collecting his stuff and looking for his jerseys and everything, I had never seen or heard a peep about any of his Ice Caps stuff. So again, I was just kind of under the assumption that they did not exist anymore. So yeah, needless to say, when that guy on Facebook dropped an eBay link with this jersey in it in my messages, I just was absolutely shocked, could not believe it. Obviously hit the buy it now and was talking with the seller back and forth a little bit, just asking for more information. And the seller was actually the Ice Caps communications guy back at the time. So he had this jersey in his collection all the way dating back to that season. And it was just in his collection the entire time, which obviously is why I never saw it, because it was never publicly out there. So the fact that obviously it's coming from a extremely reputable source, and like this guy is the guy that signed all of the team's jersey certificates of authenticity and everything. So really cool in that regard too, having that provenance and everything. But yeah, just the fact to be able to add this over 10 years after the fact is just really, really special. And yeah, definitely something I never thought I would ever have in my collection or ever even see. So the fact that, yeah, this is finally in the collection now is extremely special. And again, even though monetarily it's not the biggest thing of the year, just given the significance of it, I think is very much worthy of that number one spot.
That's awesome. Great story behind it. And yeah, to pick it up from the communications guy there is just awesome. I mean, doesn't get much closer than that to the team. So just that's awesome. Just such a great jersey. I love the dark ones as well. And yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely very, very exciting for sure. So yeah, congrats on knowing the surprise now. It's been a while.
I
I've been
mean, yeah,
hiding it for
definitely,
you.
definitely is a surprise. That's amazing. I mean, I definitely would not have guessed, even after 100 guesses, but amazing. Yeah, so nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that'll pretty much wrap it up as far as our top 10 of the year. I think, yeah, I think we both had pretty solid years, honestly. I think, definitely a lot of things that if you had told us at the start of the year that they would find their way in our collection, we wouldn't have believed you. So that's, a really fun aspect of these lists as well. So, definitely some whale type of cards and not even cards, just whale items as well. I mean, on our list here to keep it a surprise, I literally just labeled that jersey as mystery white whale. And then I know, Aaron, the cup quad patch was one of your white whales as well. So yeah, definitely a great year for our collections for sure. So then let's put 2023 behind us. Let's turn to 2024 and look ahead and set some goals for 2024. So Aaron, I will let you go first with your goals for this year.
We shall. Okay. So just a couple goals for me. For the Inroth collection, I'm not really going to go with a total number of cards goal this year. I'm just going to go with picking up 5 new Enroth one-of-one. So we'll see what happens. I mean, this year was a pretty good year, but they all can't be like that. So we'll see what happens in 2024. My next goal is going to be to finish, once again, to try and finish the 300 win club set. Come on, Ed Belfour, I just need that one, just need one card. So we'll see if that happens this year. It's a long shot, but got to keep looking. And my last one is just have fun. Had fun this year and planning to again next year. So those are my goals heading into 2024.
Awesome. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. We'll see if you accomplish them or not. Hopefully you do. Yeah, for me, I am going to recycle a couple from last year or from this year, however you want to look at that. But first one being finish one notable 0304 set, whether it be Premier Collection. I would also love if it was Be a Player Ultimate Memorabilia. That's another one that I should have mentioned at the top. I'm 3 away on that one as well. I still need the Mario Lemieux, Eric Lindros, and Jaromir Jagr limited autographs out of 19 from that set. There has been a Mario Lemieux on eBay forever that the guy has grossly overpriced and will not hear any sort of rationale for why it's overpriced. So I'm going to have to wait for another one to pop up. And then the other two, I don't think I've seen a copy of either of the Lindros or Jagr ones since I've started the project. So yeah, just hopeful that one day those will pop up. But yeah, whether it be Ultimate Memorabilia or Premier Collection or something else, it would be great to finish one notable set for the project. Second one, again, finish getting my office set up. That definitely feels a lot more feasible now after the progress that I did make this year. So hopefully I can get that done, and that would be really nice. Kind of going along with that, which it's not necessarily super related, but it would be kind of like a byproduct of accomplishing that, would be getting my collection organized, because right now in my office there are just stacks of stuff all over the place and 4-row boxes and 5-row boxes and stuff that aren't overly organized. I kind of just, whenever I get cards in the mail, I kind of just leave them in the order that they come and don't really ever end up sorting them into the player collections and stuff. So getting my collection organized is definitely something I would like to do for 2024. And yeah, I would just feel a lot better about what I've got going on in here. So that would be nice. And then my last one is kind of a speculative one, but one that I am definitely hopeful about. That would be pulling a Connor Bedard Young Gun for myself. And I'm definitely optimistic that that can happen. I'm very much hoping and planning to open a good amount of Series 2, probably in some sort of retail configuration, just to keep the cost down a little bit. But yeah, that's definitely something I would like to do. Back in 15-16 with Series 1, I bought a lot of retail boxes to pull a McDavid Young Gun, and I did do that. So I am very hopeful and planning to be able to pull a Connor Bedard Young Gun for myself. So that will hopefully be one of the highlights for 2024 for me, and hoping, assuming, planning, whatever you want to say, that I do accomplish that. I'm sure that will probably be in my top 10 list for 2024. So yeah, those are my goals. I think they're pretty attainable, maybe with the exception of the 0304 set one, just because that kind of more has to do with a little bit of luck there with the cards showing up. And I guess same for you too with the Belfour for the 300 win club set. But yeah, we'll see. They're definitely good things to work toward, and looking forward to seeing what 2024 has in store. And one real quick thing that we wanted to do before wrapping up the episode, as part of the last package that we got from Upper Deck, Paul included a box of the Boston Bruins Upper Deck Centennial set. And that's just not something that either of us, have much interest in for our respective collections. So rather than opening that and then not necessarily knowing what to do with it, we wanted to give you guys the opportunity to have a chance of getting that box for yourself. So we're going to do a giveaway for that. And all you have to do is reach out to us on social media and show us what some of your top pickups from the year were. If you want to share a little bit of a backstory behind them too, that's awesome. We love hearing that stuff. But yeah, just reach out and show us some of those cool pickups from the year. We would love to see that stuff. And by doing so, you will be entered into the list to win that box of cards. So obviously, if you guys aren't familiar with the product, it's obviously Boston Bruins focused, and kind of just as a nice way of commemorating their centennial season this year with a lot of players who have played for the Bruins over their history. And there's some parallels and inserts, and you have a chance at some autographs. I know like Bobby Orr is on the autograph checklist. So, I mean, that's a good enough reason right there, have a shot at a free Bobby Orr autograph, right? So, but yeah, just go ahead and reach out to us on social media with some of those cool pickups from the year. We'd love to see that, and you will be entered in to win that box. So yeah, be sure to do that. It just takes a minute, and hopefully someone will pull a really nice card. Obviously, an autograph would be great, but even a nice parallel or something would be great. So yeah, be sure to do that and put your name in the hat for a nice little giveaway there. Compliments of Upper Deck. So yeah, but I think that'll pretty much do it, at least on my end, for 2023 and for this episode. Aaron, is there anything you want to add before we wrap it up?
I just wanted to wish everyone luck in 2024. Hopefully, you get a bunch of sweet cards. And yeah, hopefully, all your collections have a lot of good fortune.
Awesome. Yeah, I would echo those sentiments for sure. So yeah, I think that will do it for this episode for this year. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the podcast this year. We appreciate your support as always. We really enjoyed doing this, and appreciate the feedback that we get from you guys, and enjoy interacting with you guys and everything. So please keep that up. We really enjoy that type of stuff because that gives us the motivation to keep doing this. Obviously, we're not monetizing this or anything, so it really just is for the enjoyment and satisfaction of doing it and providing content for you guys. So yeah, be sure to keep reaching out and let us know what you guys think and what you guys want to hear us talk about and stuff like that. We'd love to hear that, love interacting with you guys. And again, thank you very much for listening and supporting us this year. And as always, dating back to when we started 3.5 years ago. So, but yeah, like I said, I think that'll do it for this episode. That'll do it for 2023. So as always, please be sure to follow us on social media. We can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Sunrise Cardcast, and on Twitter at Sunrise CC. Please also be sure to subscribe to the show on your podcast platform of choice to make sure you never miss a future episode. Until next time on Sunrise Cardcast, keep collecting those hockey cards.